Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to welcome you to the Sunburst Sunday service. My name is Craig. I'll be the minister today. Our topic is conscious speech and compassionate communication. Paramahansa Yogananda many years ago said these words: speak in a way that brings lasting happiness to others. I've been reflecting upon that phrase for about a week, and a lot of images, thoughts came into my mind. When we have a Kriya retreat or a silent retreat here, we usually break the silence at a meal, and we call it, you can practice conscious speech. And on the tables is placed a little card, and it has these, it's called Think, T-H-I-N-K. And each of those letters corresponds to a practice that we can do to have compassionate speech that will help bring happiness to others. The first, the T, represents, is it true? And true doesn't necessarily mean that you have to state the exact facts. Truth comes from a deep well inside of us, and it's always eternal and lasting. H is it helpful, what we say? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? And K, is it kind? So each one of these aspects can be focused on and could be demonstrated by the inspiring speeches that we've heard, by the kindness that we've shown to others or we've seen expressed to others, and the inspiration and the helpfulness that was shared to enrich our lives. Norman Paulson, Sunburst founder, said, practice patience and listen to the voice of conscience, your intuition before speaking. Be still and meditate for a moment, then listen to the space between your thoughts, and you will receive the right words to say. The words we say influence the world around us. All living things are connected by a divine force, a divine energy and consciousness. We've come to the realization, we can come to the realization that everything is alive, everything is conscious. And in the realm of vibration or frequency, we can send and receive thoughts and words, and we can hear from plants, animals, and minerals, and other human beings the inner communication that goes on. Dr. Masao Emoto, who passed on recently in Japan, discovered that words that you speak can influence the molecular structure of water. And this was borne out by some experiments that he did with his researchers, where they took water, the same water in a cup, and placed a little dropper of water on a slide. And when they were doing that, they would say inspiring things to the water, and they would give love as if it was living. And when a drop of that water was placed upon the slide and then frozen, they watched in amazement how the molecular structure formed a beautiful crystal, like a snowflake. And they repeated the same process with the same water, and just said really negative, bad things to the water. Or they said the name of people that have committed horrendous crimes and different things. And they did the same thing. They froze the water, and the result they got was the crystal never formed. Plants, animals, and humans are made of water, and humans are 70% water. I saw this thing on YouTube where this young schoolgirl was getting bullied. She was she went home and she told her mother, what had happened and all these. And in schools today, there's so much bullying going on. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's basically very very bad to our health and everything. So what she did is she went to the nursery with her mother, and they picked up 2 plants that were identical. They were in 2 pots, and they brought them into the house, and she decided to say really positive things to one plant, and then she used bullying words to the other plant. And she found that after one day, the plant that was receiving bullying words started to yellow. The other plant remained green and healthy. And then by the 6th day, the plant that was receiving the bullying comments died. It was no longer living. And the other one was fine and growing, and green. So that really, and then just after that, some researchers did a test in a laboratory with 2 identical plants and achieved the same results. Many years ago, there was a program and a book written by Peter Tompkins called The Secret Life of Plants, and he showed how the same thing, how kind and loving thoughts communicated to a plant help it to grow and thrive. Norm would say, speak those things that are virtuous. Virtue is timeless and arises from the pure self within. And the pure self is that part of the divine spirit which is within ourselves and rides upon the soul, each individual soul. It is devoid of anger but filled with compassion, inspiring the highest good in another. So through deep meditation and prayer, we can understand that the highest good is expressed when we open up our hearts and minds to the divine and allow the divine to work through us. And that energy, the essence of that energy is love and virtue, and that will be expressed outwardly in my life, I've had some experiences which demonstrate the power of speech. I went to school at the University of Illinois. I came from California in the winter of 1970 and stayed in the dorm there at U of I, and the weather was brutal, snow and everything, and most of the kids that were there, most of the students there lived in the Chicago area, so they all went home, and I was pretty much by myself for about a week. And I remember that Simon Garfunkel song. It was like, I am a rock, I am an island, and I just was feeling so kind of like alone, but I felt this inside. I felt this desire to really try to reach out and try to find out, where I could find some joy. And I went downstairs in the lobby, and there was a little flyer on the bulletin board. It said group discussion in the girls' dorm at 7 p.m. So I went over to the girls' dorm, which is another building, and I opened the glass door, and there were about 15 people sitting in a circle, and there were a couple open spots, so I sat down. And the facilitators started the meeting, and it was amazing because all the young people that were talking were feeling the same thing that I was feeling. And it was just, I felt so a part of that. I felt so supported. And it was my turn to speak. I felt this pressure on the top of my head. And I don't really know what I said, but after I talked, it was a silence in the room. I looked around and everybody was like looking around at each other and what just happened? And then I got up and walked out, and there was someone following me, and this girl came up to me and said, she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "Thank you for helping me so much," because anyway, that was a strong indication of what loving speech is. Over the years with Norm, I lived when Norm was alive for about 33 years, and I always remember several instances where he would talk to me about certain things. And at one time we were living in Salt Lake City, and we had this big mansion there called the Ellis House, and I was living upstairs at the time, and I had this dream where it was like a vision where I saw this spiral light coming down. It was like coming down towards me, and it kind of burst, and I woke up, and I went downstairs, and Norm was standing at the base of the stair going down, and I told him the story, and he said, "That's your confirmation." And then what did that mean? And I started he was a man of few words, but they were very profound. And as I thought about it, it inspired my sacred geometry, which was my study for the next 45 years. I've been interested in sacred geometry, and especially the spiral. And so that was a really wonderful thing. If we read Norm's book, Life, Love, God, there's a story when Norm was at Yogananda. It was Mount Washington. And the master wanted to clean up all the brush and weeds that were going down the driveway. So he asked Norm to work on that, clean it up. And then he drove off to some business. And Norm had worked about 4 or 5 hours. It was the heat of the afternoon, and got down almost to the bottom. And Daniel Walters, Kriyananda, came on the scene, and Norm had about probably about 10 or 10 feet to go. And Daniel says, can I help? And Norm gave him the shovel. And just then, Yogananda pulls up in the limousine that he's being driven in, and gets out, and he says, "Boy, what a wonderful job you've done, Daniel." And Norm first had this thought, "What? He didn't do." But Norm kept quiet and said, "Well, what do I do? Who am I doing this for? I'm doing it for Master, but I'm also doing it for the Divine Spirit, and they know. So let's just be quiet." So in that silence, Norm felt really happy that he didn't say. He realized it wasn't necessary to say anything, and the compliment that Yogananda gave to Walter made his day. It really helped Walter out a lot. So that was one lesson I thought about right speech. It's not so much what we say, but if we're silent, sometimes the silence is compassionate. Before we go into the meditation, I'd like to read an excerpt from Sacred Science about right speech from Norm. Through daily meditation and prayer, you begin to open the door of God's loving presence. Upon making this contact, you become aware of the voice of virtue. Virtue rides upon the bosom of the pure self in the heavenly heart of Christ that exists within your soul. By contacting the heavenly heart, you come to the place of decision where positive images and direction await to be chosen. Not my will, Father, but thy will be done through me. By making this contact, the open door of your heart will allow inspiration and creativity to flow forth. The pure self, the image of God within you, chooses positive thoughts and actions reflecting the attributes of virtue. Right speech is forthcoming, expressed through the instrument of your voice. Those who practice meditation and prayer daily begin to live within the pure self, in the heavenly heart of Christ. The soul now becomes compassionate and devoid of negative thoughts and emotions. He or she speaks and gives energy and truth to the pure self to all with healing and love. The soul now treats friend and foe with equal grace, and moving inward and outward, treading the rainbow path homeward to heaven. The true work and service of the soul now begins. When you listen to others who are suffering and need help, you will now understand what action to take. Divine Spirit is with you. Through the instrument of your voice, the attributes of virtue can be expressed and given an opportunity to grow and bring healing and understanding within the hearts, minds, and souls of others. As we begin our meditation, let us sit straight, upright, and comfortably, and we can visualize above our heads a blazing light of the interdimensional sun, the Christ light. And breathing deeply, we can offer all our love and light, all our love up towards that light. And then imagine it coming down through our spine and energizing us. And keep your eyes calm, your eyes soft. You can close your eyes, or you can keep them just slightly open and keep them in that position as you do your relaxed breaths. as I thought about the topic of speech, compassionate communication, in that little flyer, that the little card that had think on it, the I in think stands for inspiration. And when I was thinking about inspiration, my first thought was I Have a Dream speech by Dr. Martin Luther King in August of 1963. I was just a teenager then, but for some reason I remember some of that talk, and I listened to it yesterday, and he talked about that he had a dream that people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character. And it really touched me, because his speech reminded me a lot of what Brother Norm had said about the future of humankind. And he said the future is hopeful. He said that our true purpose is to allow the Great Spirit to enter into us and experience this creation through our five senses. And we were created as a seed when the first ignition of light occurred as an idea, and we became manifest in a physical body to fulfill the desire of Mother, Father, Spirit, so that they could dance and play and sing and create on countless worlds. So that grand vista that had been expressed through Dr. Martin Luther King and Brother Norman and many others carries the truth, the infinite truth of Spirit, and that we, by revisiting those speeches, we can gain inspiration for our own lives and realize that we all have a purpose and a mission. You can follow me in a closing prayer. O Great Spirit, I am that I am. Thank you for creating me, for giving me your divine spark. Within my soul. We want to speak your truths. To allow you to work through these minds and these hands to bring healing to all upon your garden world. Amen.
Make me an instrument, Lord, of thy peace. As I let go, as I release, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. As I awaken the living Christ in me, make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. As I give love, love I receive, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. As I awaken the living Christ in me, make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. As I let go, as I release, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. As I awaken the living Christ in me, make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. As I give love, love I receive, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. As I awaken the living Christ in me, make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. As I let go, as I release, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. As I awaken the living Christ in me, make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. As I give love, love I receive, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in